here's what modes are. Modes are simply ways of playing scales in relation to specific chords. Let's say you're in the key of C major. We would play C major over the C major chord. But there's 7 chords in the key of C major. C major, D minor, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B half diminished, and C major 7. All a mode is in the key of C is the C major scale starting from a different note. So if we were to play the C major scale, but we played a D minor chord, if we played C major scale starting from D, then that is just called D Dorian. And don't be overwhelmed by these fancy Greek names. All it is, instead of saying play C major starting from D, we just say D Dorian. And now you might be thinking, why can't we just blanket every chord in C major with the C major scale? And actually that's a good approach, and it's an approach I do recommend, is starting with just the parent major scale, and that's the reason why we'll be starting with Ionian, which is the first mode. But as you progress into more complex harmonies and chord progressions, a really important skill for you to develop as an improvising musician and a composer is to outline the sounds of chords. Rather than blanketing 4 chords with one scale, you can play a specific scale for each chord, and this is the jazz tradition, and this has also influenced pop, R&B, and other types of music. So modes are a way of playing parent scales but associating them with a specific chord in the key. And there's 7 chords in the key, therefore we have 7 modes. So here's a quick recap on basic major scale harmony. So here are the 7 notes. Play these with me now. C major, we're doing this on 1 string, starting here, first finger, 3rd fret. 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So those are the 7 notes, and you'll notice the pattern there is a whole step, a half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, and then a half step. This is basic knowledge and fundamental knowledge which you should know before taking this course. So if you do need to pause this video or take some time to recap the construction of a major scale, we'll also link to some lessons on that to go deeper. So now let's harmonize this. So we're going to add a 3rd above the root note. So we nearly have that chord. Let's add a 3rd note, and this is going to be our triads in the key of C major. C triad, D minor triad, E minor triad, F major triad, G triad, A minor triad, B half diminished triad, C major triad. Don't worry about playing those triads right now. This is just about the theory and hearing it. So we have a simple triad, and we can turn these into 4-part chords. This is just adding in a 4th note, and here we have those chords. C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G 7, A minor 7, B half diminished, C major 7. Now I do recommend you play through those chords now, and remember the pattern of the chords. That's the key here, because each of these chords is going to get a mode. So major 7, minor 7th, another minor 7th, a major 7th, dominant 7th, minor 7th, half diminished, major 7th. So that pattern is a prerequisite to this course, which is the chords in a major key are major 7th, minor 7th, minor 7th, major 7th, dominant 7th, minor 7th, half diminished, and then you're back at the top. So now each of these chords has a mode, and we'll be going through each of these modes, but just a kind of to put it in your headlights, the modes are really quickly C Ionian, D minor Dorian, E is also a minor scale, but this is a E Phrygian mode, F is going to be F Lydian, G is G Mixolydian, A is A Aeolian or natural minor, B is Locrian, and then we're back to C major. Don't worry about those fancy names for now, and of course we'll be walking you step by step, very, very slowly through each of these modes. So don't worry if this was a lot of information. What I wanted to do was just paint the roadmap and show you where we're going to go, and then I'm going to hold your hand and take you step by step through each of these modes very, very slowly. We'll be walking it through, singing it through, and then just exploring one scale position for each of these modes. So for now, just make sure you can play those chords in the key of C major and be able to name the formula of chords in any major key, and that's going to set you up in a great position for these future lessons. A second prerequisite skill is to be able to name the notes on your low 2 strings. So E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, and then all the way up and then all the way down is also on your A string. So A, B flat, B natural, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A minor. And the reason this is going to be important is because those notes are going to be our target root notes for any chord we play. And it's just a really good skill for you to develop is those 2 strings, and really to know all strings. But if you're beginning, just start with the low 2 strings, and that's going to help you build up any chord and play any chord in any key. So here's another prerequisite. This is just a simple example, which is exploring intervals. And we're going to be referring to this throughout this lesson series. So do make sure you take a bit of time now to learn this, because it might be a new concept for you. So all we're doing is we're playing all of the 12 intervals, and we're playing them together with a root note. So we're going to be playing a C root note with all of these, and we're going to be saying the name of the interval. Now, an interval is just the distance between 2 notes. So from here to there, and then as intervals get larger, we give them different names, and each name is specific to that jump or interval between 2 notes. So the first interval is a half step, a minor ninth. I'm going to play that 4 times. Major second, both notes ring. Minor third, minor third. You want to get used to the sound and the shape. Major third. This is going to be used in Ionian, Lydian, and Mixolydian modes. Perfect fourth. Sharp 4. It's going to be used in the Lydian mode, and Locrian is a flat 5. Perfect 5th. Also known as the power 5th. Flat 6. Used in Aeolian or the natural minor mode. Major 6. Used in Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Dorian, flat 7, and the major 7th. So I really emphasize the importance of playing that exercise, which is naming the notes, playing the notes in tandem with that root note, and you are hearing and be able to name those notes, because you're going to be using this information and this exercise throughout each of the 7 modes, because these are the intervals which we create the modes with. So make sure you know how to do that before starting on day 1. So to recap, the prerequisites for the 7 modes in 7 days are, and again these are just recommended, you don't necessarily have to do them, but I do recommend you can do the following. Be able to play all the chords in a major key, and these are 4-part chords. We will provide those below. Be able to name the notes on the low 2 strings from low to high. And then finally, play the interval exercise, which is going to name all possible types of intervals. And this is the most important step, which I really encourage you to practice a bit before starting with the first mode. So here's how we're going to break up these 7 days. We're going to start off with the major type modes, that is Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian. These are all happy sounding type modes. Then we're going to move on to the minor modes. We're going to do Dorian, Aeolian or natural minor, Phrygian, and then finishing with Locrian. So for each mode, the 5-step process which I'm going to walk you through is this. Step 1, 1 octave. Step 2, play 1 octave, but say the scale degree names. Step 3, play 1 octave, but sing the scale degree names. Step 4, I'm going to show you one position scale diagram for that mode, and this is going to map out the modes so you can improvise with it. The final step is always going to be the most important, which is to start making music with that mode, and we'll provide you with a jam track and also link to some other resources, and you can create your own loops and jam tracks, but this is the most important step. Step 5, and it's going to build on those first 4 steps and really starting to create music, phrases, licks, and improvising with this mode, which is the point of modes. They are tools with which to improvise and create songs with. So thanks for being here. Modes are easier than you think. Trust me, I'm going to take you through step by step this process. There's going to be 5 steps for each mode. We're going to build on each day. So it's going to require some work. It's going to require some commitment to practice the things which I teach you. But trust me, we spend a lot of time planning this. We've looked at the best ways of teaching modes and developed this curriculum to really guide you through it, and it's going to be a great starting point for you to really get a grasp on this really important fundamental musical concept of modes. So see you in lesson 1.